Take a Ride podcast. I'm your host here, Starks. You can find me on my Twitter handle. It's at Starks_industry. You can also find me on Instagram. It's Jesus Christ follower _. So if you guys have any questions in regards to anything, especially the faith, fantasy basketball, baseball, or football, you can reach out to me. Make sure you guys check out newlifefantasy.com. Join the mailing list. Join as a member for free. Helps our site to continue to grow. Also, make sure you subscribe to the podcast on YouTube as well. Sub-zero that button. Hit the like, comment below. Helps that to grow as well, too. I'm all over the place, but that's the beauty of freestyle here. And if you guys are interested to be a writer for New Life Fantasy, let us know. We'll definitely take you in consideration. I'm not here alone this evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you may be in the fantasy world. I have the wingman running the three, LT the Sage. How you doing today, brother?
Doing good. Mello, CJ, we love you. Over in Portland town, we got the dub. It's been real weird the last couple of games, but we've eked out each win. Each win had my heart, pumping. Caris LeVert, man, big respect to Caris LeVert, man. He is. I was telling Starks on Twitter, MJ was possessing, man. The soul of MJ, man, was just possessing Caris LeVert. The way he was like shooting the ball and going to the hole was very MJ-esque. I just felt like we were gonna lose that game because of him, and he missed the last shot. So he couldn't put the nail in the coffin. So we're here now, about to face the Lakers, Blazers in 5.
Yes, as you guys see, we are ready to get this going because we are excited, especially for LT and the Blazers coming through. I was really excited to see him, come through as well. So as you guys know, before we start the ignition, I want to say that we have a new segment that LT created, 5 players of the bubble. I think, LT will expand on a little bit more on what he's going to talk about, players in fantasy in particular. We will touch up on a college player, and it's going to be hooked on phonics, as you guys know, when it comes to name drops. Obi Toppin is going to be a college player that will, negotiate. I wouldn't say negotiate, but someone we'll talk about closer to the clutch shot. So with that being said, I'm ready to take people on for a ride, and I'll pass you the ball, LT. And before I pass you the ball, I'm going to do a behind-the-back pass to myself and say we're also going to talk about the lockdown on teams that are making the playoffs. So I will now pass you the ball there, LT.
I'm gonna palm the ball. I appreciate that, Starks. Okay. Top 5. So what I'm going to go over is some top 5 of my players, Sage's players that I am looking forward to for the draft from next year. Now, these players have really shown me some things, and I've been watching a lot of the games while these bubble games have been going on. Some games I've been taking with a grain of salt. Some teams are playing a lot of their back end players. I'm looking at you, Bucks. I'm looking at you, the Lakers. A lot of teams are playing a lot of their bench, so we're able to see a lot from certain players. I'm not going to give you guys the regular smegulars like Kyle Kuzma. We know he's a good player. Damian Lillard, Harden, all these studs. No. I'm going to give you 5 players that you might not be thinking about for your next draft. And my first one, and Starks just butt in if you want to talk about these players, cool. is a guy that was in the game just today. His name is Brandon Clark. Brandon Clark is for the Grizzlies, and he's been playing really well while in the bubble. They have a good young core over there in Memphis, but Brandon Clark, what he showed me today is that not only can he grab rebounds, but he added a nice little 3-pointer to his game. He was splashing it all day today, unfortunately, on my Portland Trailblazers. And if he can get consistent with that 3, I think on when you're drafting players and you're looking to draft in those 14-man leagues, you're looking at redraft leagues. I'm looking at all types of leagues. When you're looking at those tight leagues where there's some players that are going to be on the bubble, on the cusp, on the back end, Brandon Clark might be someone that you might want to pick up. His role is pretty much solidified. Jalen Jr., Triple J didn't play, but I think Brandon Clark is going to be a great man for the back end. He really impressed me these last season, these bubble days. And Starks, anything about Brandon Clark that you like or don't like?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a fantasy darling, LT, that especially in dynasty formats, right? So this is a player that a lot of people are excited to have. And a lot of people may not know, it seems a little bit, I wouldn't say he's older, but, he's closer to 24. So although, coming in as a rookie, in a sense, this season, it was just like, well, Brandon Clark, it's like, well, what I'm trying to say is for you to mention he's taking a 3-point shot, that is perfect and good and transparent, because let me be transparent, is last week before the season how do I say this? He has been averaging, if this is correct with the stats that I'm looking at, he's been averaging 1.5 threes a game within the last 4 games. So that is beautiful, right? Because in this season in particular, before the restart of the season, he wasn't averaging at least a 3-pointer this season. So for him to even bump that up, he can easily next year. He's a player you definitely want to consider highly in redraft leagues too, that LT likes to do as well as far as redraft leagues, because he's going to go way above top 100 next season. That's easy to say. I think it's fair to say this. He could potentially be a top 75 player or better next season, especially what LT broke down of him making, 3 more 3-point shots. And that's something to really enjoy. And especially if you have him in a dynasty league, you're going to be excited because he gives you that threat of blocks. He'll give you some points and some rebounds. And from time to time, he might sneak in a steal, but this is a player that you're going to definitely enjoy in fantasy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. And I can't think of his name right now, but what's the shooting guard for the Grizzlies? I know John Moran. What's the shooting guard? What's his name, man?
Kyle Anderson?
No. Man, what's his name?
Allen?
No, he's been playing great. Let me go ahead and pull him up. You know what? I'm not going to disrespect him like that. He's been Dylan.
Dylan Brooks. I'm sorry.
Dylan Brooks. There you go.
Hey,
I was about to say Dylan. That was definitely disrespectful. Dylan Brooks also, just he's not on my list, but Dylan Brooks as well. He's already kind of known in the fantasy circle, but he's played well. They just pretty much solidified their top 5 players for next year. John Morant, Dylan Brooks, Clark, Triple J if he's healthy, and then Valanciunas. So definitely look out for those guys on your fantasy list. And then my next guy, Starks. I've been telling you about this guy. You've been talking about this guy too. We talked about him a little bit. He said he needed some time. He needed to break through that tight, thick Nuggets lineup and depth chart, and he did. Michael Porter Jr. He has come out of not nowhere, but we knew he had it in him to be a top flight, not only player, but fantasy player. He would be one of those players if the season was still going on, the fantasy season. If you were able to pick up Michael Porter Jr. this season, he would have been one of those players that bring people over to the championship if you were able to get him, because he is killing it right now. And he's playing pretty good minutes for the Nuggets, and he's starting. And I'm loving his game. I'm loving how he's working with Jokey Boy. Oh, I'm sorry, Nikola Jokic. I call him Jokey Boy, but Nikola Jokic. Starks, what do you think about Michael Porter Jr., and do you think he will start next year for the Nuggets as well?
And before I dive into that, because that's going to be tough to say he'll start, right? But we knew, like you said, we knew the potential that he has, right? But let me say this, the last few games, and honestly, in a 6-game span, like he was a first-round value player, just wild,
killing it.
Just outrageous in 34 minutes. Like, check this out. He averaging close to 24 points a game, almost 3 snipes a game, close to 10 rebounds, 1.2 steals, almost averaging a block, field goal percentage at 57%, charity stripe 92%, at a decent value at 4 attempts a game. That is something amazing. I can't even fathom the words right now. But let me say this: should he start next year? This is where I have to say this. Gary Harris, you have been a player I have been disappointed in. I'm going to be honest with you. I thought he would have a little bit of a bounce back season, but it seems like he's starting to look at the ceiling, and it still seems like his eyes is looking bloodshot red, because listen, he is the same guy that he was last year. It looks like the Gary Harris that we're accustomed to, the 3-and-D guy. I'm not seeing it. So is Michael Porter Jr. going to surpass him? I'm not saying that yet, but I think it's fair to say it's easily that he'll be the 6th man. If he doesn't start, he's going to be the 6th man for the Nuggets. And honestly, LT, to be quite honest with you, that is another team that I would be scared to play at this time is the Denver Nuggets, because although it always in my heart, it always feels like, who's their true superstar? I mean, of course, it's the jokey boy, the Joker, right? But to me, it always felt like he's just been a very solid, he's a superstar, to be fair, but it just always seemed like for me, Nuggets just had a good plethora of solid players. And we can also talk about Bobo. So it's like they have all of these good players. It's just ridiculous on the Nuggets. So what I'm trying to say is I'm afraid to play the Nuggets when whoever plays them in the playoffs. But as far as Michael Porter Jr., I think he could potentially start the second half next year. Do I plan on that happening soon? It could happen. It could happen, but I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, man. I was when he was having that little stretch. Excuse me, and they've played their guys less. They weren't really fighting for anything, so they've been playing their guys a little less, giving them some rest the last couple of games. But he played like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 32 minutes. He was playing high minutes, high production for this squad. He was playing in crunch time. I really think that once they go through the next portion of training camp, depending on how well he does in these playoff games, man, the next season, I want to let y'all know in the fantasy world, the next season is right around the corner. Okay, it's not just one of those things where you're gonna have to wait a while. It's a couple months away. So if this holds true and they have success with him in the lineup going forward in this bubble playoff, I think he won the job. I think he wins that starting lineup for them, and they bring someone else off the bench as a sixth man. Maybe Gary Harris, maybe Will Barton. I don't know, but I was excited to see him play. And then the third guy, this is one of your guys as well, Starks. I don't know. Every time I was thinking of these players, man, I was thinking of you. Warren G for the Pacers. Yes, TJ Warren. Woo, he went off in the bubble. And if it wasn't for Damian Lillard, now the Suns also went crazy. And there's a player on the Suns I'm going to touch on in the next two. But TJ Warren, man. Now this is I want to give a little bit of grain of salt. My guy wasn't on didn't play for the Pacers. So he's got a lot more touches. He's getting a lot more opportunities because they need scoring. They need a lot of scoring. Dippo's coming back. He's playing better. Dippo's playing better, a little bit more confident, okay? And but TJ Warren needs to score. So he is getting the opportunity right now. But I think with what he's doing right now in the playoffs, TJ Warren is one of those players that on the back end of redraft leagues, people are going to forget about him. They may or may not, depending on what he does in his playoffs, but people may start forget about them when you're looking for scoring. And a lot of times we forget about scoring when we're drafting in redraft leagues. If you're looking for someone who can give you a scoring punch, TJ Warren's your guy. He can be that guy for you at a later point in the draft. And that's exactly what this list is for. I'm not trying to look for top 3, top 4 round draft. I'm trying to find some gems for you from the bubble that have exploded that you may be able to pick up. Starks, I know that's your guy. So what do you think about TJ and what he's been doing in the bubble?
Man, this is perfect. I'm glad you brought him up. The true bubble man. I mean, there's a lot of players that's been exploding. To me, he was like the true bubble man of them all. Like you said, Sabonis was out, so you could take it with a little grain of salt. But I will say this, and I want to say I want to apologize for the fantasy GMs or managers that's listened to the podcast, because I was wrong on a couple players. But this guy I believe I was pretty on target on. This guy was going past like the 120s, and I was like, man, this guy is going to be a steal as long as he is on the court. Now, I didn't expect him to explode like this, but my mind was set like this, LT. I was like, man, if this guy contributes this season, he'll be a top 75 player or better, bar none. As long as he's on the court, he definitely surpassed that this year. And then the last 6 games, he was given first-round value. And not only that, he was the number 3 overall player in 6 games of the restart of this season. In 36 minutes, averaging 31 points a game, almost 4 snipes a game, 6 boards, 2 assists, 1.3 steals. Check this out. A slap, 1.2 blocks a game. That's not supposed to happen for this guy. We know he's a high field goal percentage shooter at 57. I mean, not this high, but that's great. That's almost like a center, right? It's like he was untouchable as far as taking shots. And his usage rate took a massive bump, but just like LT mentioned, it was expected because Sabonis was out, so he had to take on the load. And then we also have to take in consideration Dippo's back, but he's not going to take the massive keys. Someone has to score for this team. It can't just be Malcolm in the middle Brogdon. So you have to have a little bit of someone else to score. And he has been that punch. His usage rate jumped up to 6 to 7%. That is just massive. And obviously he's a great free throw percent shooter. So for those that might forget him, that's definitely a chance. If you are a dynasty GM and you are in a win now situation, he's the guy and you're feeling good about him.
Yeah, no, TJ, you got to pick him up after what he's done, and we're gonna be seeing in this series. He has a little thing with Jimmy Butler, so he's gonna be on this one. Jimmy Butler too is gonna be on this one for this particular series, and I don't know, man. Like I know that he has been good all year, but man, I like the Pacers. I like what they've been doing lately. I like their defense. TJ Warren, man, let's see what he can do, man. Warren G, regulator. Let's see what see if he can regulate something for the Pacers and that one. But my second to last one, and this one might be a early round pick, actually, depending on the GM you're talking to. I can see our guy, Lewis, Mr. Big Man himself, maybe picking this guy up pretty early. But this guy had a suspension this year. He's showing me something. This one's a little bit lesser on probably you're thinking about, but DeAndre Ayton for the Suns. He showed me a lot with him coming back, what he's done with that Suns team. And by the way, the Suns will make the playoffs next year. It's not even a thing. I'm not even thinking twice about it. The Suns will make the playoffs next year. They're so much better after in the bubble than what I saw before. And a lot of players coming, and Ayton is a good reason for that. Of course, Booker is the man there, but man, DeAndre, he looked good. His shot was going. He was getting inside. And this is the DeAndre Ayton before the suspension that we were expecting this year. And a lot of people may forget about him because of the suspension. He didn't play that much even after the suspension.
Forget about him, dog.
You don't think so? You don't think they're going to forget about him a little bit?
That's just me messing with you, but no, I really don't think they're going to be forgetting about DeAndre Ayton for the Suns. No, man.
I don't know, man. Well, that's the thing. He might be an early round draft pick, but I'm saying where he was drafted at this year in correlation to where he's going to get drafted at next year, I think he's going to slide. Now, no, it won't be third round. Maybe it'd be fourth or fifth round. He might slide in some drafts just because of the suspension. Now, again, the Suns did get kicked out, so there's no playoff game. So now DeAndre Ayton's name won't be in anybody's ear until it's time to draft your teams for fantasy. So just keep that in mind. He looked amazing during the bubble games, and if he can stay out of trouble, okay. I forgot what he did. He wasn't a drugging, was he?
I think he was a druggie, man.
He's drugging? Okay. Don't drug, okay? You look good without the drugs, okay, man? Don't do it, okay? You look good. You look fine out there during the bubble, okay? Suns went undefeated. They didn't play weak teams either, okay? They were playing some strong teams and they were undefeated. So, again, that's my guy, DeAndre Ayton. What do you think about Mr. Ayton, Starks?
He's such a real, he's such a good fantasy asset, especially in dynasty formats. But let me spin it like this, because there was a question from a listener actually today, a matter of fact, between Ayton and we talked about this guy earlier before we recorded, Ja Morant, LT. Who would you rather take in a dynasty format? Because that is what the listener asked.
Dynasty format. Wow, Ja Morant. In a dynasty format, Ja Morant. Ja Morant. Only reason why I would take Ja Morant is because I think his longevity. It's just a little bit more. It's just a little bit bigger than Ayton's. Ayton is a big guy. He's already shown some I don't knowsies about injuries and also his off the court antics. So I would always go Ja Morant. Ja Morant just turned 21. I know DeAndre Ayton's young too, but Ja Morant is going to be a top 5. eventually he's going to be a top 5 point guard probably
Wow.
in this league eventually once some of the old heads get older. He's going to be a top 5. He's like the future. Him and Doncic, they're those guys are like the future of our league, and so he's going to be up there. I have no doubts about that. So I would take Ja Morant for sure. What do you think, Starks?
You know what? I'm going back and forth with this. So Ayton is 22 years old, and like you said, Morant just turned 21. So I'm gonna be honest for those listeners. You probably know me by now. I mean, I'm just gonna I don't care anymore. And what I mean by that is just like my play style when it comes to fantasy. I love guards, right? And the safe bet or the safe industry terms would be like you got to get Ayton. But I'm gonna be honest. This is me going against the grain. I'm with LT here. I'm probably gonna take Morant. I don't know. I just have a thing for guards, right? So the type of style that he has, and I mean, he could be projected to be a solid fantasy player. So and even in the dynasty format, 3 to 4 years. I mean, I think it's easy to say that he's going to be a top 50 player or better, but is he going to be better than Ayton? That's really going to be tough. And it's like, how are you trying to build your team? That's also the thing you have to keep consideration in a 9-cat league. But I just lean just slightly on Morant. But on the safe side, that's just taking a risk, okay? But if you want to play it safe and you feel secure, Ayton would be the move.
Yeah, true. Now, Morant, the only thing Morant needs is a shot. He needs to get his outside shot more consistent. And he hits a couple. He hit a couple even in this past game. And he has hit threes. He can hit the three. But if he can get a consistent outside shot, there's no way. I don't know how you stop him, because if he gets scared of the shot, he'll just drive. And if you let him drive all day, he's just going to boost the tempo up for his team. So, yeah. But no, DeAndre Ayton, just keep an eye out again. I'm not saying that people are going to completely forget about him. He's going to, be in the 8th or 9th rounds of leagues. I'm just saying that he's probably going to slip from where he was getting picked up this year. He's probably going to slip. And so you're probably going to be able to catch him for a coupon. And over here in Take a Ride, we love coupons. So my last guy, this guy is not later round. This is an early round buy. And the reason why I wanted to talk about him, because I think he has solidified himself as one of the top big men to pick up next year. And I haven't even seen the rest of this playoffs. I can only imagine what he's going to be. Now, he may be 3 on this list because there's a lot of good big men out there. But I think for versatility, if you're looking for a big man and you're trying to find a big man that you can add to almost any team, Bam Bam Adebayo has come out of nowhere. And hasn't come out of nowhere, but he's come in and really solidify himself as a top fantasy pick next year. That's just from what I've seen. He was consistent throughout the bubble play, putting up some pretty good stats. Now, again, there's obviously other big men like Anthony Davis, obviously Joker. My thing is even Joker. I don't know. I would probably pick Joker over Bam Bam, but I would have to think about it. Because Bam Bam is playing great. Whoa. He's playing great. He's playing amazing for that team. And Joker, is he going to be Bobo's looking Joker right in the eyes, And so I'm not saying now.
I'm gonna steal the ball from you.
Go ahead.
Hey man, hey man, I love me some Bam Bam, man, but man, that's
I don't know, man.
That's how you feel. No, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know. Bam Bam's really showing me something, and what I'm saying is versatility. The king of versatility is Joker, right? So I'm putting him in that aisle. Now, there's other big men that will get you all these rebounds, get you 20 games. That's great. That's good. Thumbs up. I'm talking about guys that can get you 18, 10, and 6 assists. Potentially 2 steals a game. He's just versatile. He'll do it all for you while giving you those big man stats that you're looking for. If you're just looking for a 20 guy, obviously you're looking at, maybe potentially Andre Drummond or, those type of guys. But when I'm looking at versatility for a big man, Bam Bam solidified himself as a top 5 versatile big man that you could pick up, and he's going to have to pick up in the early rounds next year. And so Starks, I speak to you. What do you think about the good old Bam Bam for next year's draft?
Hey man, you know I love me some Bam Bam Bigelow, but I think you juiced the orange a lot harder than me, man. Because I can't think. I'm not going to be that person to think about either choosing Joker or Bam, man. It's easily Joker for me. But hey, man, Bam Bam is no joke. He is straight no joke. Like there's no ifs ands or buts about that. He could potentially get more blocks too. And Joker, I mean, he barely gets blocks, but Bam Bam gets the blocks, right? And he gets you those assists. Joker gets assists too, but to get blocks and assists, that is unique for this type of big man. So I definitely like Bam Bam Bigelow, especially in a dynasty format where he is drafted next year. I'm just gonna say it could be as high as the second or third round. I would not be surprised of that in a redraft format.
Yeah.
And even potentially in a dynasty format, he's gonna go in the second round in a dynasty format or even higher than that.
What big man is what big man do you got before that? Anthony
Big
Davis. I mean, obviously Anthony Davis, but I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think what other big man you even like centers.
Oh yeah, center. So let me see here.
Joker, and Anthony Davis. I'm trying to think.
Wow, let me see. So yeah, we got Anthony Davis. We got let me get some centers real quick.
Yeah, look through these centers.
The cat, Carl Anthony Towns. We know we had a rough year this season. I get it, but I'm still gonna take Towns. So
take Towns over. I would too. Yeah. Okay.
Jokic. Now here's an interesting one, LT. Porzingis or your boy Bam?
That's a good one. That's a good one. Now, if you're looking for scoring, Porzingis, 100% Porzingis. But if you're looking for all versatility, giving you some extra assists, giving you some of the other intangibles, I'll go Bam all day long. It all depends. Again, I guess it would depend on your team. Why not both of them? You probably could draft both of them.
I don't want to hear it, man. For you, who do you take out of those two?
I can't use the versatility. I mean, I can't use the team. The team.
You did well for the listeners, but I'm just asking for you.
To be honest, I'll probably take Bam.
Man, all right, cool. Let me ask you this one.
Porzingis, yeah.
For you personally.
Okay.
All right. Who do you take? Do you take Bam or do you take Joel Embiid?
I would definitely take Bam.
I kind of felt like that. You say that.
Okay. Joel Embiid's too ouchy for me, man. He's too out. Did you see in the bubble, listeners? Did you see in the bubble he like touched the basketball stand or whatever, and then he was out the rest of the game? I don't know, man. He's too out. Embiid is too ouchy for me, man. He's too soft, man. He got a soft. He's like rubber.
I'm gonna say you're officially the King Bam of this staff and New Life, man. Because I love Bam, but you took the fire out my hands. You took the torch, man. I'm passing you the torch because I think I would still take Porzingis. And I mean that's risky, right? I mean, so is Joel. I mean, to be honest with you, LT, I'm not saying you're wrong, right? Because this is risk.
The other thing with Bam is that I don't think he's really had too many injury issues to my knowledge. So he's been pretty healthy. So he might be one of those safe. To me, you know what? He's like a safe like big man to pick up. He's just safe. I love it.
Interesting. That is controversy. You have anything else, LT?
No, that's it. That's it, man. I'm with you. Now again, I'm talking specifically versatility, but he's right there. Like I said, we'll see what he does in these playoffs, and we'll see, man. But sage eyes are always lurking. So that's my 5 players to look out for next draft. I think Starks is going to have his little may have some 5 for us next week.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool.
So I will pass you the ball and just to give you the lockdown in the playoffs. We'll just talk about that. Just highlight on the teams that locked in. So I'll pass you the ball.
Absolutely. We're going to go through. I'm going to go through these teams. I'm going to tell you who's going to win, who's not going to win. First matchup, Lakers, Blazers. Lakers are the Lakers. Kyle Kuzma with that game winner. Riveting entertainment, but the Blazers in 5, of course. Not even. There's no Rondo. There's no real good defender for Lillard. if LeBron gets on Lillard, then the rest of the Blazers team are going to have a field day. Nurkic is a good matchup for Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is more athletic, but Nurkic has the height and length to at least contest and put up a good defensive showing. Also, we can put Whiteside in his face as well. And not to go off on a tangent, but I saw both big men out today at the same time. They played both Whiteside and Nurkic on the same court, and it was actually working. So I like that to happen as well. And then Rockets OKC. There's a lot of Starks. I'm sorry. Any thoughts on that Lakers Blazers matchup, man?
Nah, man, I'm with you. Blazers in 5, man. I'm with you. I'm jumping on the bandwagon with you.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. We need all the bandwagons we can get for that to happen. Rockets OKC. And this one's is got a lot of heat to it. It's probably the top heat game. Other than Butler and TJ Warren, CP3 coming back to go against the Rockets. We know how CP3 feels about Harden. We've seen it. We saw it on the sidelines. And that OKC team is no slouch. So Rockets are going to be up for a biggie. Starks, I got to ask you a quick question.
Yes.
Are you upset how dominant, or not dominant, but how good Steven Adams have looked in the bubble? Do you feel a little upset about that, or do you feel like this is just a culmination of him getting better, or you think he just, he could have been, I don't know. He just looks energized out there, man. I wish he looked that way a couple of years ago.
OKC has a whole bunch of different Joker faces on, or different Two Faces on. I don't know how to really take them anymore. Of course, I like OKC. I also like Indiana, and obviously I'm gonna be honest. Like, of course, I like the Rockets because of James Harden, right? And then there's Russ. So it's going to be a tough thing to watch, right? But this is that series that I would not be surprised if OKC somehow pulls this series out. So the Rockets, please don't slouch, because you'll lose. Don't mess around. So that is all I have for that in particular. I'll pass you the ball before I pass you the ball, I'll go ahead and get to the next one. And that looks like it's Utah Jazz, and we just talked about them, the Nuggets there. The Jazz, I feel like the Nuggets, it's going to be a tight series, to be quite frank with you, but I think the Nuggets is going to pull out in the Jazz series. That's all I got. I'll pass you the ball. I'm not going to say too much on that.
Yeah, I think the Nuggets beat the Jazz. I feel like they're like similar teams. They're like the same teams. That's my son, Lil Sage. But yeah, it looks like the Nuggets and Jazz. I got the Nuggets 4-0. I think they 4-0.
Ew. Dang, you got the sweeper? You got the sweepers out.
I think the Nuggets 4-0 them.
The sweeper out. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. And then Clippers, Dallas. This is gonna Starks. This is where things get real weird. Oh, I forgot to tell you, OKC in 6 over the Rockets.
Oh, dang. Yes.
I'm swinging hard on all of these. And then Clippers, Mavericks. Who do you think I think is going to win this series, Starks? You tell me.
I listen. If I got the Clippers, and I'm be honest, I would not be surprised if Dallas pulls it off. I'm just being honest. Truth. The reason why I'm saying the Clippers is because Paul George has looked better. He's looked a lot better in this restart of the season, and that was one of the biggest concerns. Because if he didn't look at, there was only 2 things that I looked at, that I was really considering this restart. I wanted to see what Paul George would look like, and I wanted to see the Blazers. That's all I cared about for this bubble. It was the Blazers and Paul George, and that's all that mattered to me. And what I got is great feelings in my stomach. And looking at Paul George, he was resembling the old Paul George that we got last year, and the Blazers was looking like the Blazers that they should be. Although their defense is still trash, they're going to struggle in that sense. But coming back into this series, I got the Clippers in 6 or 7.
Yeah, I got the Clippers in 7. I think that this is going to be a hard-fought victory for them, man.
There's no sweeping this.
There's no sweeping this Mavericks team. I've seen a lot of good stuff out of them. I think they match up pretty well with the Clippers as well. Yeah, definitely. I think this is a 6 or 7 series. And to be honest with you, like you said, Dallas can win. I think Dallas can absolutely beat the Clippers. But as I was listening to Charles Barkley the other night, the Clippers do have their number. So we're definitely looking at probably. I'm saying Clippers. I'm saying Clippers in 7. I think they go on to the next round.
Gotcha. And then we'll go ahead and transition. I'll just say this on the Rockets and OKC, Rockets in 7. But the Bucks versus the Magic, that could be a sweep. But I'll just say, what is it called? A gentleman's sweep, 4-1, that the Bucks win. I'm not going to hold too much water in that series. Any quick thoughts on that series, man? Oh, real quick, my boy. Oh my goodness, Jonathan Isaac was looking so good.
Oh
I didn't get to
man.
talk to you about that, LT. He was looking so good, man, when he came back. Get well, brother. Especially a
Yeah.
minister. So we're definitely out there for you, man, and hopefully things get better for you. Dynasty formats, if you're playing a long game, you're feeling don't get scared to try to trade him off. If you're playing a long game, keep Jonathan Isaac. He has great talent. But the Bucks and gentlemen sweep 4-1. LT.
Yeah. Not even close. 4-0. I think they take care of them real quick. Magic might sneak one in. But the thing about this series or all these playoff series is that there is no there's home field and kind of home field and away type of things, but it's kind of almost like neutral court for all these teams. So yeah, Bucks and 4 for sure.
Nice. So the Pacers and Heat. Listen, this is probably my favorite series. This is the series I don't want to see happen so early because I like both of these teams, right? I'm cheering for the Heat to do good, but I like the Pacers. So I don't even know. Like the Pacers is like my Eastern team, right? So, oh my goodness. Well, we know your boy Sabonis is not playing, right? We know Dippo's not 100%. The Heat, there's weird stuff going on there too. I still love Kendrick Nunn. Our boy Bam Bam Bigelow. This series might go 6 or 7, but I think I will take. But TJ Warren's been killing it.
He's been killing it.
I'm just gonna say the Heat in 7, man. Who you got?
Yeah, I if they had Sabonis, I would take the Pacers in 6.
Okay.
No thought about it. Pacers in 6. But without Sabonis, TJ Warren, they're gonna be able to remember playoff matches are a lot more intense. They're going to put people, they're going to specifically be keying in on TJ Warren, then who's going to score. So if he takes a magic sensu bean before the game and just goes out there and kills it, man, then we look at Dippo. Then maybe, but yeah, I got Heat in 6. I think it's a Buck Heat series for sure.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's one of those things. Like I was gonna say, is just it's a series I don't want to see happen. But with this bubble, there's going to be I think there's going to be a lot of weird games going on, to be quite frank with you. But transitioning to the next series is the Celtics and the Sixers. So as you know, LT, like I said, we've been having a hard time getting together here. We know Ben Simmons is out, right? So this is a series for Boston, right? They should win this in five. Honestly, gentlemen, sweep 5 or 6 games. But I'm excited to see my boy Shake Milton, right? And shake, see what he does to step up because he's going to need to, right? But Boston should finish this series pretty good. LT.
Yeah, Shake was actually on my list. And the only reason why Shake was on my list originally on my 5 list was how he badmouthed Joel Embiid. he ain't taking nothing from no one, man. I love to see that from the young guy. So Boston's gonna cream him. Ben Simmons, even with Ben Simmons, Boston owns the 76ers. Like they have real estate over in Philly. And so I don't know if it even matter if Ben was there or not, but without Ben, they're gonna get toast. So yeah, that's a 4 or 5 series right there. And that goes on to our other, Toronto, Brooklyn. Karis LeVert's going to need to take in all the Jordan soul snatching he can have. He's going to have to do what he did against us. He's going to do that every single game because if he's going to have to play hard. They're going to have to look for Joe Harris. He was playing out of his mind against us as well. They're gonna have to do that for 7 games, just to be able to beat Toronto. So yeah, I think this is a sweep too. And the East playoffs don't really start until next series. I think the next series are going to be the ones to watch. But right now, Toronto's going to just again cream Brooklyn. And then next year, Brooklyn's going to probably win the championship. So there's that.
Yeah, so it's not. I'll say this is also a gentleman's sweep, so it'll be like a 4-1. Karis LeVert's going to help them pull one game out of this series, right? They might even win more than that, but we'll go ahead and transition to a college player. We're squeezing on time, so I'm going to get through this as quickly as possible. So I do apologize to the listener. The guy hooked on phonics again is Obi Toppin. This guy is 6'9", coming out of Dayton, School of Dayton. So I don't know how to really go about this. I will say this. The things that I see about him, what sticks out in Dayton is he's got better in college, right? He's averaged 20 points, averaged a steal and a block. So he was doing good this past season. 7 rebounds to assist. Free throw percentage at 70%. He takes a couple of snipes and, maybe he takes more as like a hybrid big. Is what they're trying to utilize him for. High field goal percentage, which is strong at 63%. So the question is per 40 numbers, what college goes by, he is honestly a true monster in a sense. But I don't know how that's going to translate for him in the NBA. I will say this. What team could he possibly potentially go to that needs like a hybrid big to help them in a sense? There's a lot of teams, right? Everybody now, as we've talked about in fantasy and even in the NBA, the dinosaurs are starting to become extinct. Players like, sad to say, Andre Drummond, which is still good, right? But the players the back-to-the-back basket players, they starting to be not really needed. Like, look what Dwight Howard, who he is now, right? There's so many players we could talk about. But Obi Toppin, I do apologize to the listener. I do apologize that I don't have like maybe a team that he can land on, because one of those things that's important about college players is what team do they land on? Because as I created the opera system, opportunity is the biggest key proponent of being a good potential player, to get that opportunity, to get those minutes on that team. Because if you get those minutes, then you have that chance to get you those stats to translate into the NBA. But it doesn't always necessarily mean that, because we can talk about, I don't know if LT remembers him, Adam Morrison, that was a fantasy or NBA bust years ago, right? That people just thought, you remember him? Mm-hmm. So a lot of people thought he was just going to be, I think he was from Gonzaga. He was a killer. He was a scoring machine, and he just became a bust, right? And not to say Obi Toppin's going to be a bust, because he looks like a highly recruited guy. So it kind of goes by which team he lands on. But honestly, it almost may not matter for him, because he is a top prospect. So if you are going to consider drafting him, I mean, you're not going to draft him now, but if you do early dynasty format drafts, if you're going to build the long game, he would go in the 5th or 6th round in dynasty formats. Well, maybe not that high, but around the 6 or 7 if you are just drafting in a hurry in a startup dynasty. So that is something to talk about, Obi Toppin. And I'll do this again. I'll start doing this more on each episode, at least try to. And I'll expand a little bit more on his feedback, because I need to do a little bit more digging on him. So that is it for Obi Toppin. But I want to transition to the clutch shot, LT. I want to play you something, because I don't think you were able to hear, but I created a segment, and I was gonna actually, I remember, because I was gonna just replay you that Karl Malone segment, but I already sent you that video.
Yeah, you sent it. I saw that, man. That was gold. Perfect.
That is so gold. I know we talked about it a while ago, and you had mentioned it to me, man. Every time I see that about the Jordan thing, and he puts that cigar in his mouth, he just felt like he was just like untouchable. He was like, "Well, I'm a man too." Like go ahead.
No, yeah, I'm a man. He was like, when I play, I played against the Chicago Bulls. I was like, okay, that's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. He's still disrespecting Jordan to this day. He's like, okay, I respect him. I know a lot of people. He didn't want to say like he's the best, right? He's the best ever.
Right.
He didn't want to say it at all. He was like, a lot of people say he's a bad man, but cigar. I was a bad man. Too. Like, yeah, man, dude, that pride juice is just bubbling in him, man. He can't say it. He can't. He won't say it. He won't say it, man. He will not say Jordan is. He's like, I respect him. I was a bad man too. I was like, okay, Carl. All right, Carl.
Oh man, so yeah, I'm gonna play this segment, LT. And actually, you've talked about this player. I wanted to hush up on it because I wanted to just play it to you instead. Let me know if you can hear this, okay?
Okay.
I don't like you, but that's not a good excuse, right?
You hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, this is what I was gonna say. Before I get to the clutch shot, let me add a new fun segment, right? Something different here. So the segment is called I don't like you, I don't like you, I don't like you. And just because I don't like you, that doesn't necessarily mean I don't like you, but this is where I'm going to go with this. So there's a player in fantasy, right, that I don't like, not because I don't like him as a person, not because I don't like him because he's in the NBA, and not because I just don't like him, period, because that's not what it is. I don't like this person because this person doesn't do what I would like him to do in fantasy purposes in 9-cat leagues, right? That doesn't necessarily mean he can't do good in other particular formats, but I don't like this person because he doesn't give the type of categorical stats that I'm looking for. And just because, let me get this straight too, just because I don't like him doesn't necessarily mean you, the listener, doesn't have to like him. You should probably like him, right? And that's absolutely okay. So who's the person that I do not like? That I don't like? I don't like you. I don't like you, Kyle Kuzma. I don't like the way you play. I seen him one of these last games. Maybe not this last game, he didn't do good, but the game prior before that, he was filling buckets up. He was hitting a lot of threes. But I'm going to tell you right now, he doesn't do enough for me. He doesn't cut the salami. He doesn't cut the cake. He doesn't cut the bananas. That didn't make any sense, but you know where I'm going with this, right? I'm not a fan of Kyle Kuzma, the Kuz. I'm not a fan of him. I'm going on this ISO rant on you because I don't like you. I don't like you. I don't like you. Kyle Kuzma, if you guys are a GM that has him roster on your team, please make sure he is just rostered on points formats, because if he is in a 9-cat league and you have him and he's just jacking up threes, listen, and supposedly a point scorer, you got to understand he's playing on the Lakers. He's playing next to LeBron. He's playing next to AD. He's just playing on a team that is strong. You know, it's almost, let me say this. This is going to hurt some ears. You might want to cover your ears on this. Maybe this is disrespectful, but you know what? I have a voice that I'm allowed to say what I want, right? Without being held back. So I'm going to whisper this. Kyle Kuzma, you know who I would rather have on your team? I would rather have Danny Green. That is disrespectful. That's how I feel about Kyle Kuzma. I would rather have Danny Green on my team because I know that I might sneak some steals and maybe a block here and there. Yeah, that's just too grimy. But no.
Oh my God! Not the Danny Green whisper. Oh man, you already know who mine's is, so I'm not even going to go. I might do that on the next one. I'll do a little rant for that one on the next one.
Sounds good.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
So that is my clutch shot. Just to replay that for you, LT, because I know you didn't get to hear that. So, What is the clutch shot you want to take?
All right, man. 5-1 Blazers. Easy money. Not even a couple of these games won't even be close. Carmelo Anthony will outscore LeBron 3 out of the 5 games. And that is my closer shot.
That's right, LeBron. No, Lakers, you take this. I hope the Blazers blaze you up, man.
In all seriousness, though, if we win this series, it's a miracle. I don't know how we stop LeBron. Melo, skinny Melo, no. Who's gonna stop AD really? I mean, Nurkic maybe. I don't know. I don't really know. But we do score. We're just gonna have to score 150 points a game and hope we can keep them under that.
But no, actually, actually like LeBron now, and I just actually, if the Lakers end up winning the championship, it would be pretty cool. But it just sucks to see the Blazers kind of play Lakers. But this is not going to be no easy out series.
Yeah.
I really don't believe that, man.
Make them work for it. I hope they at least make them work for it. No sweeps, please. Just please, no sweeps. We don't need any sweeps. Just work. Make them work for it. Make it hard, and just so people can just at least say it was unfortunate they had to play the Lakers in the first round, at least.
And just give a random thought, I'm a huge Gary Trent Jr. fan, so I'm going to always be just loving the Blazers in that sense. But listeners, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Where you can find me at, again, is on my Twitter handle. It's at Starks_industry. Ask me any questions. I will get you at a prompt time. Apologize. I haven't been, putting posts or putting stats out there. Just been really busy, but just feel free. It's always available. And then you can find me on Instagram. It's Jesus Christ Follower _. Ask me any questions, especially in regards to the faith. That's more the faith-based page. But it all links in together because it's the enjoyment that I have to share the faith of Christ and everything else. So, you can find me there, and I'll pass you the ball. LT, where can they find you at, brother?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Sage Network _. You can also find me on Instagram. My Instagram is going to be changing up a little bit, probably within the next 24 hours. So I will keep you guys updated on which one to kind of reach out to for basketball stuff. But other than that, that's where you can find me. And you can also find my son playing Pokemon while I'm trying to do a podcast as well. You can also find them there.
Yes. All right. So listeners, thank you guys again so much for tuning in. With that being said, have a good evening, morning, afternoon, and take a ride.
Let's go Portland.